Yeah, go ahead and turn it off. Go ahead and turn on.
Testing for Johnny. Testing.
We'll start right at 2. We're ready, right? You just it up.
Yeah, they just said it.
One more time. Oh, there we go.
You want to get this, you want the emoji? That's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started with AJ Hinch. We have microphones on both sides of the room, so if you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll get the mic to you.
Tags. I knew you'd have the first one tags.
We'll start with Brian.
Do you have any roster clarity you can tell us on any decisions that have been made, and if not, when you will set the roster?
So we're going to set the roster tomorrow. The conversations are ongoing. We've sort of slowly gone through this process. 6 guys yesterday I announced yesterday they weren't going to be on the roster. We have a couple more today. James Hoyt and Michael Feliz will stay with us. and work out, but they're not going to be on the playoff roster. So slowly but surely, I'm getting through the conversations with the players. I'm being very diligent with making sure we have everything covered before we finalize things. But we still haven't decided between 14 and 13 position players. We haven't decided entirely on the roles of some of the starters, and I haven't had conversations with every veteran guy that's still in the clubhouse. So we don't have to set it till tomorrow, so we won't. And obviously today will be a big day of conversations for me.
AJ, are there any starters or guys who started for you during the season who you expect to have in the bullpen tomorrow?
Yeah, no, I think there's going to be at least one or two guys in the bullpen, maybe three. And to be honest with you, we've only named Game 1 and Game 2 for a reason. I can see all hands on deck being the philosophy going into Game 1 and 2. So they're all available. So, what we choose to do or not do, we'll have set before the game as to who will have their spikes on, who will be down in the bullpen, who's conceivably available. But right now, we're really just concerned about Game 1 and then obviously Game 2 before the day off. So I could see a number of starters being down there and being available.
You talked yesterday about, Verlander, the way he's fit in, the way he carries himself.
The way he carries himself. How does your team's faith in him change the way you approach this series and the way they go into Game 1 of this series?
Well, I don't think it changes anything, because if I didn't hand it to him, I was going to hand it to Keuchel, and this team's pretty confident with Keuchel on the mound, specifically in this ballpark. So it doesn't change a lot. I think what he's added to our team is very obvious. I mean, there's a presence to him. There's a teammate component to him. There's a professional excellence to him that in every facet that you would ask out of a teammate, out of a guy in the clubhouse, and then ultimately performance on the field, which is why we acquired him. So what he's done in his short time here is established himself as very much a part of what we're doing, but not entirely what we're doing. I think there are a number of stories on our team that are worth sharing and worth talking about, and the guys should get all the attention that they can. Verlander being at the top of that, coming over at the right time, performing at an elite level, and then obviously coming in with the credentials of the playoff experience. I think our guys, feel like we're going to win when he pitches.
Richard?
What are the factors you're going to weigh in deciding what to do with McCullers? And do you think he could be a kind of a super weapon like, Andrew, like Price, even though he's
It's called the Andrew Miller role. I've heard it like 100 times in the last month.
never pitching really?
Yeah, no. So Lance is a very talented pitcher, and he has weapons, and the league knows it. Our team knows it, and Lance knows it. So I think he could very, very much pitch in a variety of roles, and start, including starting. So, I love the ascent of all of the thoughts that these guys can all be in this Andrew Miller role, who he made it famous, and it carried him all the way to the World Series. And we saw it last night with the wild card game, how crazy it can get when guys are pitching in these moments. And it's going to take somebody to step up and be, superhuman to get to the World Series. It happens for every team that gets there. So who are guys going to be? Is it going to be Lance? Does it become, Davinsky, Musgrove, McHugh, Morton, Peacock? I have no idea. I don't care who it is. I care that somebody steps up and outperforms expectations in a role that they're not used to. Lance has every bit the weapon to get as many outs as he can. He's pitched in a playoff game before. Where we deem that the most important and what outs we think that's going to be most important is going to be discussed over the next couple days, or next day, communicated to him, and then I'll put him in there.
What do you think about the turnaround that Peacock has made this year, and what has he meant to your team?
Yeah, he's quietly one of the unsung heroes because, well, first off, he doesn't speak a ton. He doesn't talk a lot. His presence he blends into what we're doing, but anything we asked him to do, he stepped up and did. Not only did he do it, he did it well. And I think our team rallied around that excellent performance and really believes in him. So I think his ability to pitch into multiple roles was key. But that stretch where he started for us and he continues to start for us is going to be what the storyline is about Brad Peacock. He came in and pitched extraordinarily well out of the rotation when our rotation was thin. When you talk about a 101 win team, it seems glorious and it seems easy, and it feels like we had this exceptional season. And at one point we had all 5 starters on the DL. At one point we were really stretching our bullpen a lot because our starters weren't going deep into games. Brad Peacock was the consistent theme that he won a lot of games. He struck out a lot of guys. He pitched in a couple different roles, but that starting group in the middle of the season when Brad Peacock was stabilizing everything is why we were able to right the ship when things started to wobble a little bit.
Right here in the front.
AJ, at this point of the year, what is the Carlos Beltran? What is his value to you guys moving forward, and also what he's done all year?
Yes, Beltran is very key because of his presence and because of the influence he has on our players, the attention to detail that it takes to play in the playoffs. The room temperature gauge is very important in the clubhouse during the most exciting times, and a guy like Beltran will keep things very even keel. Will keep things in perspective, but we're going to need a big at bat out of him. We can talk all about interacting with his teammates and being a presence and being the 40-something that he is in the clubhouse. I'm also going to find a spot for him, and he's going to come up big given that consistency that he's brought in the playoffs over his career. So the at-bat is what I'm more concerned about. Our team will be fine emotionally. We'll be fine behind the scenes. We have a very, very high standards of what we expect out of ourselves. So Beltran's going to offer that, but he's also going to give a good, especially left-handed at-bat against some tough right-handed pitching across the way, and I expect him to come up big.
Mark?
AJ, do you have anything further yet on Josh Reddick?
No, I spoke to him. He's going to go through the workout. So I think the key for us is going to be this workout. He worked out yesterday, came out feeling great, no symptoms today up to this point, but having an update on what his role would be, his availability is going to come after tonight when he goes through a more rigorous program on the field.
Kevin?
AJ, just what has Alex Correa meant to you too? Is it just I've known him for a long time as a player and a coach, and what he brings to the table?
Yeah, so his first year coaching has gone well, given his ability to connect with players and given his baseball intellect. He's very sharp, sees the game in an extraordinarily deep way, has really connected well with players in our clubhouse, and spent a lot of time developing relationships and being the bench coach liaison to the clubhouse that I asked him to be. And I think he's grown, and I think that's key because it's not easy to just, no matter how long your career is, to jump into a coaching role. Like, trust me, I know how things can go when you jump right into a job. It's not easy, and so for him to be able to learn, to grow, to evolve, become a better coach, continue to be a learner of the game. Those are characteristics as why he is, a hot name in every opening that's coming up so far this offseason or this postseason, and why one day he's going to manage, whether it's now or later.
AJ, you guys made obviously a lot of veteran additions in the offseason. There were great expectations for this offense, but statistically, you guys kind of superseded that. Are you surprised at all at how well you guys perform offensively from start to finish?
No, I'm not necessarily surprised as much as I am pleased because of the work that went in for some guys to get better. Marwin Gonzalez is the guy we talk about all the time as an example of someone taking information, working off that information, and utilizing it in the game and becoming a better offensive player. Watching Bregman grow into a bona fide big leaguer, watching Gurriel get more comfortable in this country and at this level, all contributed to this performance. We expected out of Altuve 200 hits. We expect it. Unfortunately, that's not fair to him, but that's what's expected. Carlos Correa comes off the DL and got hot at the right time. His numbers are great. George Springer took a step forward. Our hitting coaches, Dave Hudgens and Alonzo Powell, done a really, really good job, individualizing the offensive game plan for these guys. But the players have done it. And I think for us, having as deep a lineup as we've had, talking Brian McCann that it's cool to hit 8th or 9th, was a challenge given how he's used to hitting in the middle of the order. He's on board. It didn't matter to him. There's a lot of different things in there that made this offense click. And to do it for 6 months and do it relatively consistently, and obviously at the end of the season lead in a lot of different categories is it's part of what makes us a good team.
Standing up on the right.
AJ, how do you view the Red Sox, their strengths and weaknesses, and then talk about Chris Sale?
Well, I'm not going to give you too much on what I think about the Red Sox. We got 5 games to beat them, so they're a good team. They didn't sneak up on anybody either. We've known since day one that they were going to be a good team. They went out and did it. They offer a lot of challenges. They can shorten the game with their pen. They can. They have a lot of guys in the rotation that have pitched well. They got some tough outs. So, 90-plus win team is very much what they look like, and they're going to be a tough challenge for us. And it starts with Chris Sale. So, if they wanted to skip Sale in this series, that would have been fine too. They skipped him last series. They didn't do it, so we'll get our taste of him, this series. But he's elite, premier left-handed pitcher in baseball. When you talk about guys like Kershaw and Keuchel and him and guys that have hardware, he's a tough challenge. And seeing him in Game 1, and depending on how far the series goes, we're probably going to see him again if the series goes deep. So we got to sort out the game plan against him and try to get him early, because when he settles in and he gets that swing and miss and he gets his mojo going, he's as tough as anybody in baseball.
Pete in the back.
AJ, was there anything about the 4 games at Fenway that you learned about them that you wouldn't have otherwise learned from video or a scouting report?
A little bit, just because of the pressure that they were under in that 4-game series. They obviously, we were in a different set of pressure. We wanted to win, to get the best record. We failed by game, but they were still trying to close out the AL East, and so having them have to play their guys a little bit. And the first couple games of that series was pretty normal. I mean, it was competing. It was high intense atmosphere. The fans were going crazy. The atmosphere felt like extra playoff games for all the right reasons. So I think we learned a little bit about their team, just more familiar, recent memory familiarity. Strategy-wise, they weren't going to. David Price not going to sneak up on us. Craig Kimbrell closing games isn't going to sneak up on us. We haven't seen their roster yet as to what they're going to do, but we knew going in, Bogarts can hit, but Betts can hit. Moreland's got power. He hit a homer. Benintendi's obviously an interesting player. That wasn't anything that new. Seeing it in action and formalizing a little bit of a game plan is probably the advantage of having the 4 games. But they get that for us too. So we played our guys the first few days too.
Brian.
2 years ago, Correa, first playoffs, he hits the 2 home runs in Game 4, ends up making an error. He kind of had to wear that for a while. How do you think he grew and learned?
Yeah, I've been wearing it for 3 years. Yeah, I thought I was going to go this whole session without talking about Game 4 of 2015. Correa has grown well. He's so driven to be great, and most of the great ones are. I mean, it's how they're built and how they go about it. But I love how he takes it personal when people challenge him about playing shortstop, and I love how personal he takes it in being in the middle of the order and wanting to be the most productive hitter on the team. Now, we surrounded him with guys like George Springer and Jose Altuve, so it's hard to say he's always going to be the most productive given the amount of talent we have. But he's such a mature man for his age and all that's thrown to him. I think one of the qualities about Carlos Correa that people don't know about or don't appreciate enough is just how driven he is. He was in Fenway. He was talking to me about things he needs to work on this offseason in order to get better for next season. Like the things that you wouldn't imagine, a guy in his early 20s who's having success and feels like he has the sport, in the palm of his hand. He's continuing to try to get better. So he's elite. He wants to be great. He rises up at these moments. And if you look back at his big hits in his short career, he's got a lot of walk-offs. He's got a lot of big home runs, some of which were in the 2015 playoffs. And there's a lot of guys in that room that aren't going to be spooked by this room or this magnitude of these games, and he's going to be right at the front of that.
Time for one more if there is. Go one in the back there.
A lot of pressure. Make it a good one.
I'm sure you'll like it. Brian brought it up. So how much does that series against Kansas City kind of
in 15?
How much did that stick with you, and how much does it motivate you going into this?
I thought I was over it till today when you guys made me talk about it. Now it's back. It was a great experience for our young guys, and that was our first arrival. That was the first time we were really, in some ways, respected again in the game. That we had good players and good talent, and we won games, and we celebrated a couple times. We went to Yankee Stadium and won the wild card game. Those were all great memories for those guys, for guys that like Jose, who came through the lean years where we were losing and came out of it, now feeling like a winner. Carlos Correa's first year, Lance McCullers' first year, Dallas Keuchel's breakout year. That all experience all goes with them. And I think it made us, a little hungrier to get back and get and get to this point again where you're playing with only a couple teams' names on the scoreboard. There's only a few teams left, and you got to be good to be in this position. And our players that played in 15 certainly talk about it. We add some veterans, guys like Reddick, guys like Beltran, McCann, that have a lot of playoff experience, and Verlander. And you're gonna find a team that's expected to be here, that wants to be here, and I think that flourishes here.
Thanks a lot, AJ.
Cool. Yep, you got it.
The Astros staff is handing out some information about Justin's foundation, new initiative. He'll take questions about that towards the end of the session. We'll take baseball questions first, and then we will address the foundation questions.
All right.
First question for Justin. Start with Brian again.
Justin, when you approved the trade, you obviously knew the Astros were in the playoffs, but just to be here again at age 34, have another chance to get that World Series ring that's eluded you, what does this be to you to have this shot right now?
It means a lot. I mean, this is what we play the game for, and I mean, this is bringing back some fond memories. Just being here and doing the interview room, you know, there's a buzz, there's an excitement, even in the locker room. You know, you just sense it and feel it. So, you know, October baseball is what we, you know, play the grind for, and what we play 6 months for, and not even that. You know, I started working out in November of last year, so you know that's all to be prepared for this. And so to have the opportunity to once again be in the playoffs, I could say I don't take it for granted anymore. It seemed easy for a while with the Tigers organization, especially going my first year to the World Series. You know, so I appreciate every step of the way now, even more, I think.
As someone with a lot of playoff experience, how valuable do you think that experience in the postseason is going into this series?
You know, I definitely think there is some value in it. You know, I think just more along the lines of knowing what to expect. I don't think it's going to help calm my nerves or give me an edge in that way. But knowing what I'm going to deal with going into the start, how I'm going to feel during the start, you know, how much more emphasis and stress is put on every single pitch. You know, knowing those things, I think, helps prepare me better.
Justin, when you look back at all the postseason runs with Detroit, obviously there's so many factors. Some of it's luck, some of it's, you know, great talent on and on. Were there any defining things, though, that the certain teams that were able to advance the farthest had it outside of just pure talent, whether it was chemistry, whether, you know, any of those things that can separate teams in the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think chemistry is one of the things, you know, but, I mean, good chemistry comes with winning. You know, it always helps. I think the ability to do the little things that I saw almost from day one when I got here, the ability to score runs in non-conventional fashion, take the extra base when need be aggressive, play great defense, be able to shut down the late innings. You know, all those things I think are extremely important. You know, I think throughout my postseason career, I've been on multiple teams that has different weaknesses, and they get exposed more in the playoffs. That's just kind of the nature of it. So this is one of the most fundamentally sound, like top to bottom ball clubs I've been a part of, and I think that gives you a great chance to win. I've always said it, pitching and defense is of the utmost importance in the playoffs. I think the addition of being able to score the runs that you're not necessarily supposed to score If you can steal a base or steal a run, that plays huge.
Right here in the front. There's a mic there.
Hey, Justin, can you just talk about the honor of being Game 1 starter, being the new guy on the team, but they have so much faith in you?
Yeah, it's a great honor. You know, I didn't really know what to expect. I had no assumptions whatsoever coming over here. I know Dallas has been great. I know a lot of their starters have been great. You know, and you just don't know how the season's going to shake out either, falling down the last few days. You don't take anything for granted. But once we kind of saw how things were going to shake out, and AJ gave me the information that I was going to be going number 1, it's always an honor. You know, I think I've been lucky to be part of some pretty great pitching staffs where, you know, anybody can go number 1 the first game, and you don't feel like your team's any different than if the other guy goes number 1. So, and I think that's a situation that we have here, and it's a great situation to be in, because even though you're going Game 1, the weight of the world doesn't fall on your shoulders to have to win that game. You know the guy behind you is just as good, and the guy behind him. So, you know, it's a good situation to be a part of.
Justin standing up on the right.
Justin, how do you view the Red Sox lineup, and what will be some of the keys in pitching to them?
You know, I think they have a very talented lineup from top to bottom. You're going to have to be. I'm going to have to be on my toes the whole game. However long I'm out there, you just kind of, I don't know, just go out there and make your pitches. You know, that's what it comes down to as a starting pitcher. You got to make your pitches, and in the playoffs, it's a little bit different, I think, than in certain regular season games where you really kind of focus on getting as deep as possible into the game. In these games, it's stay out there as long as you can without without letting up runs. Whether it's 5, 6, or 9, I think the runs are of utmost importance. But this lineup presents a lot of difficulties. They don't strike out a lot. They put the bat on the ball. Any of them can do damage at any time. They can all run well. Most of them can run well. You know, they're here for a reason. And you know, good pitching beats good hitting, though, and I just need to focus on making my pitches and hopefully come out successful.
Mark.
Justin, you're ready to make an impact on Houston outside of baseball. Can you talk about that with your Wins for Warriors program?
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to announce the start of the, Houston, the Harvey Patriot Grant Foundation through Wins for Warriors, which I launched a few years ago. You know, when I got here to Houston, I immediately saw the resiliency of this city and wanted to help. Obviously, I came in right after the hurricane and wanted to find the best way that I could give back. So I am donating personally $100,000 to start this grant. The Astros Foundation is very generously matching that donation. I am also, at the end of the playoffs, going to give my playoff share and donate that as well. But the point of this is to help. My foundation initially was to help veterans and their families, and there's a huge presence of that here in Houston. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on, is giving back to those families in need. Like I said, it's a grant that can be applied for. You know, and I think the way that this country has rallied around Houston, I think it's, you know, it's going to be something special if we can win a World Series. And to have the country rally around Houston and go hand in hand and give back and help the families that need it is of the utmost importance. You can donate in multiple ways. You can do a one-time donation, or you can donate per win, which is what I think is important. We're trying to win a World Series here, and that's 11 wins. So anybody can go to winsforwarriors.org. Again, it's winsforwarriors.org, and pledge a donation. There's a lot of families that need a lot of help, and I've been doing a lot of research since I got here and making sure that that the way I want to give back is executed properly and helping the people that really need it. And I think we've really nailed this. And to have the Astros again match my donation means the world to me. You know, I haven't been here that long, and for them to show that type of support, it really means a lot. And this is all about helping. So I really urge people to go to the website, winsforwarriors.org. Again, learn more, donate if you can. Donate per win. It's going to go to the right families, and it's going to go to people that really need it.
Ian?
Justin, you've been in the same division with Chris Sale most of your career. Can you just reflect on some of the battles you've had with him over the years, and if that kind of helps you prepare for what you're going to see tomorrow?
Yeah, man, it's been a lot. We faced off a lot of times. You know what type of matchup it's going to be. It's going to be a grind. It's kind of like the first person to blink, you know. As a starting pitcher, you know, you love those battles, but on the, you know, in the regular season, you kind of see who you're going up against. It's kind of like, all right, let's strap it on and go, because you know it's going to be that type of battle. He's a fierce competitor. I've always enjoyed watching him pitch, but hopefully this time I'm not rooting for him so much. But it should be a fun game. This is what you dream of as a kid coming up. You know, you want to face the best, and he's one of the best in the game right now. And so it'll be a lot of fun.
On the right side.
Justin, it seems like your transition to Houston and into the clubhouse has been pretty seamless. What do you think was the biggest key to allowing you to fit in so well so quickly? I don't know. I guess the guys, this organization, everybody made the transition as seamless as possible, from making myself comfortable, finding a place to live in the short term. You know, the ownership helped in so many different ways. The clubhouse, the guys made it seem easy. Made me feel like I fit in right away. And, you know, other than that, I mean, it's just, I think it helped that we started on the road. When I first got here, we had like 2 games at home, and then we were on the road. I'm used to those same hotels. I'm used to those same clubhouses. That didn't feel so different, just the guys. And I think that gave me an opportunity to kind of get to know the guys in the clubhouse a little bit more, and not, you know, like if we were here at home, I would have had to worry about finding a place to live and moving in and doing all that. But on the road, it was just kind of a road trip as usual, and get a chance to go out to some dinners and hang out with some guys, and get to the ballpark early and talk to everybody and just kind of feel included.
Thanks very much, Justin.
Cool. Thank you.
Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa will be in shortly.
Working.
Okay, we have about 10 minutes with Carlos and Jose, so we'll get right into it. Who wants to start off? Brian?
Yeah.
I want to ask Jose, being, you said it's the first time you've won the batting title going into the playoffs, being a batting champion going into the playoffs, facing some of the pitching that you'll face, what are some of the challenges for you to keep this going as you go into October?
The way you've been swinging the bat.
I mean, I just want to go at that and try to do the same thing. You know, to be honest with you, I already forgot about my batting title. This is a new season for me. You know, 5-game series. We're gonna do everything we can to beat the Red Sox, to play a good baseball, and you know we have the team to do it.
Who else? Right here on the right.
Carlos, you guys obviously have been exceptional offensively all season. When you look back at not only the additions of the veterans on the team, but the maturation of some of the younger players, what's your take on why you guys have been so very good?
I think that was huge for us. You know, last year we had a young team with a lot of talent, but that leadership from a veteran guy we didn't have, and you know, this year with McCann, Beltran, Reddick showing up. Besides their baseball skills, they were great guys in the clubhouse, and they taught us so much about the game, things that we didn't even know about. So that veteran leadership, I think, helped us a lot, and I think all of them have been playing a great role in our team and our success.
Yeah, in the back on the left. Oh, Ian.
Jose, just kind of playing the same position as Pedroia. You know, what do you respect most about his game, and how much do you like playing against him?
I think the way he plays. You know, he goes out there and plays 100% every single game. He never take it for granted. He dive, he slide, he does everything the right way. And you know, he's been in the league longer than me. And when I was in the minor league, he was one of my favorite players. He still is, and he knows that. And you know, to play the same position that Dustin Pedroia, you know, former MVP, World Series, everything he has accomplished, I feel really proud to be like that in the same game and playing against him.
Right here in the front.
Really, for both of you guys, how would you describe Josh Reddick, his personality, his free spirit, to people who don't know him? How would you describe him?
I think he's a funny guy in the clubhouse. He makes everybody laugh around him. He's just outgoing. He says whatever he has on his heart. He's gonna tell you things straightforward. I think he's a good leader as well. But the way we see him and why we respect him the most is because he plays every single day, 100%. He gives everything for his team, and you know, he obviously loves his teammates. So he goes out there every single day and competes.
José, en español, ¿qué representa este título de bateo aquí? Ese título de bateo, y qué tan cómodo se siente el equipo jugando con Justin Verlander como abridor para este primer juego.
O sea, empezando con Justin, de verdad el día que lo cambiaron me sentí muy contento y creo que el equipo estaba bueno antes de él, pero después que lo cambiamos, él trajo como que ese extra, ¿sabes? Y la manera que ha estado pichando los últimos 5 juegos, para nosotros de verdad increíble, y yo de verdad estoy muy contento de tenerlo en mi equipo. Y el barintarlo, ¿sabes? Te tienes que sentir contento, es como una meta personal, es algo que de verdad has trabajado para eso, pero como dije anteriormente, ya me olvidé de eso porque ahora viene lo mejor de la temporada.
Carlos, rapidito, desde que volviste de tu lesión has estado encendido. ¿A qué atribuyes tú esto y qué aprendiste de tu última experiencia en playoffs en el 2015?
Sí, claro, la lesión fue algo que fue de mucho aprendizaje para mí. Gracias a Dios pude recuperarme y volver con el equipo. Creo que en el 2015 la experiencia que adquirimos todos en esa serie fue una que nos va a ayudar en gran manera para este año. Obviamente éramos mucho más jóvenes, con menos experiencia, nunca habíamos estado en unos playoffs, pero ya pasamos por ese proceso y estamos preparados para cumplir las nuevas metas que tenemos.
On the right side here.
Carlos, how much do you feel like you've grown from the first time you were in the playoffs until now?
I think I've grown so much. I think mentally and the experience I've acquired playing every single day for the last 2 years and a half. Having guys in the clubhouse like Beltran has helped me a lot as well. I talk baseball with him most of the time, and just watching Jose play every single day and the way he goes about his business, the biggest thing I've learned from him is You got 2 hits in your first 2 at-bats. You got to have 3, 4 hits that day. You can't just be pleased with having two hits that day. So that drives me every single day, the way he goes. He has 4 hits, and he's like, Carlos, I've never had a 5-hit game before. Let me try to get the 5th hit. You know, he's always striving for more, and that's what I've learned from him that makes me better every single day.
Right here in the front on the left.
How do you guys kind of dovetail on that? How do you use that experience that you had in 2015, the disappointment of that series loss? You had them down, let it slip away. Well, I mean, they played well to give it their credit, but how do you use that experience? Both of you guys' answers is to motivate you. This time around, you want to make sure you get the job done.
I think the difference between this one and 2015 was now we know how it feels to be there in a playoff game. You know, most of the guys inside the clubhouse in 2015, they were the first playoff. So now we have an idea what is going on out there in a playoff game, and you know we're trying to take, you know, everything like the things that we did good, the things like we didn't do good, and you know make it better and try to, you know, in the end of the day it's another game. We just have to pretend we're playing another game, try to, you know, 5-game series. We have to play the same baseball we've been playing this year long, which was a really good baseball. We have guys like Carlos said, Beltran and McCann, that they brought the leadership. Now Verlander, he's starting the first game for us. So that gives you a little confidence to go out there and play the game.
Like,
Yeah,
like he said, we know what to expect now. He's coming on his best season yet. I'm coming off my best season yet. And then we have a way better team than 2015. So our confidence is in an optimum level, and we're ready to go out there and compete.
Jose, you've been with this team since 11, and you know went through other losses, and you make the playoffs in 15. But you guys didn't make it last year, and there's that feeling of disappointment, and you want to get back. How much does just making the World Series, taking this franchise to the next step, stick in your mind? Because this, as you said, this is the best team you guys have ever had.
You know, you said it. Like, I'm coming from a team that lost 100 games in a row, 3 straight years. So we made the playoff in 2015. We didn't make it last year, and after last year we were a little uncomfortable because, you know, we were watching the playoff game from home, and, you know, we were like, okay, we're good enough to be in the playoff. We show up this year, we did it again, and, you know, I'm really happy and excited about tomorrow. And I trust in my guys. I feel really happy because we have a lot of talent and a lot of guys with big heart out there, and I know we're going to make it happen.
Time for one more, if anyone's got one. David?
This is for both of you. Carlos, in the past, you've talked about your relationship with Jose as being like brothers. Can both of you talk about how in sync you are on the field and the friendship you have off the field?
Yeah, I think every single year our friendship grows even more. Inside the field, obviously, you guys can see everything that happens there. You know, turning double plays, having good times. Every time he hits a home run or I hit a home run, you know, we're like brothers in there. But off the field as well, the relationship is great. You know, we watch boxing fights together on Saturdays, UFC fights together on Saturdays. We go grab dinner every once in a while, especially when we're on the road. So
we fight too.
We fight a lot. You know, actually, we fought 2 days ago on the plane.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, that's why I love you, because we fight, and then 5 minutes later, we talk like nothing happened. So, you know, we a little bit of everything you can see, but, you know, the relationship keeps growing.
Thank you, guys.
Hopefully Jim can sign him for 10 more years to his team so I can play with him for a long time.
Okay, thank you, guys. Good
Thank
luck
you,
tomorrow.
guys.
Thank you.
The Red Sox will be in here starting at 3:30 with Chris Sale, Dustin Pedroia at 3:45, and John Farrell at 4.